Good afternoon. Hi, welcome. I'm Bonnie Thornton-Dill. I'm Dean of the College of Arts and Humanities, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to the 13th Annual Access to Alumni program. This is, yay. This is one of my favorite events of the year because it gives our students an opportunity to connect with alumni who are well-positioned to offer valuable career advice, and it also gives our alumni a chance to connect with our students and see what Maryland has become. And we're very proud of what Maryland was and has become with these wonderful students we have here today. All of our alumni participants were once in your shoes, so students do not feel shy. If you've got questions, now's the time to ask them. We encourage you to do that because you really can do it in a safe space. This group of alumni are not here to judge you, they're here to help you, and so we just encourage you to take advantage of all that they have to offer. Let me briefly tell you about the program's format. We're going to have a keynote speaker, and after the keynote speaker, who I'll introduce in a bit, there will be 3 timed sessions during which you will have a chance to visit these various roundtables and the networking area, which is conveniently located back where the food is. It's always good to have food when you're networking. After 15 minutes, so we'll start when we start that part of the program, you'll have 15 minutes at that particular table, and then after 15 minutes, Amy will ring these chimes. So when you hear the chimes, please wrap up your conversations and move to another table or go to the networking area. This is a little like speed mentoring, and we want to encourage people to rotate to allow as many students as possible to speak with our alumni participants. So again, we'll have 3 roundtable sessions of 15 minutes each, allowing a few minutes in between for transition. Now, I certainly encourage you students to meet alumni in your field of interest, but I also want to challenge you to speak with alumni from professions you may be less familiar with, or that fall outside your primary area of interest. I think you will be pleasantly surprised to discover how an English degree can lead to a job in technology, how a communications degree can lead to a job at a trade association, how a theater degree can lead to a law career, and as you'll discover today, career paths are seldom simple and direct. I want to again thank our Arts and Humanities Alumni Association Chapter Board for sponsoring this afternoon's event. Would the board members please stand so we can give them a round of applause, board members? Our board members have worked really hard this year. They've gotten 60 of their fellow alums out today, which is really a wonderful number, so we really thank them for their work. And then I also want to thank Anna Gavin. Anna, where are you? I can't see. Is Anna here? All right, maybe Anna's not here, but I want to thank her anyway, because she's donated the prizes that some lucky students will soon win in our raffle drawings. So, and then finally, I want to extend, again, a warm thank you to our alumni participants for coming out to campus today. Your insights and experience and advice will be most appreciated. So now, if you arrived promptly at 4 p.m., students, you are eligible for our door prize drawing, which we will announce after the keynote address. So Erica is going to walk around and collect any entry tickets. So if you got here at 4 p.m., you can give your tickets to Erica if you haven't done that already. Okay, so let's get the program started. It's my pleasure really today to introduce our 2016 Access to Alumni guest speaker, Adam Schapiro, a 2002 graduate in theater. Adam, or Shappy as he's known to his friends, is an actor and director who co-starred in the Steve Jobs movie last summer, directed by Danny Boyle. He can also be seen in the movies Now You See Me and A Single Man. Adam's dedication to theater is exemplified by his co-founding of the IAMA. I didn't ask you if it's Yama or IAMA, okay, of the IAMA Theater Company in 2007, which is now one of LA's top intimate theaters. While at Maryland, Adam was involved with SketchUp, our very own, all right, there's a SketchUp crew in the back, our very own sketch comedy group. He learned a great deal from the process of making something out of nothing and doing it quickly, on his feet. The skills he learned while at Maryland continue to be put to use in his everyday work. Moving to LA after college, Adam worked every odd job under the sun. I said something about career paths not being direct. He was a production assistant for television programs Survivor and Amazing Race. He was a Hebrew school teacher, a caterer, an assistant for agents and managers, a nanny, and many other things. So in one audition for a commercial, I'm told, he was turned down for the role when he didn't get along with the dog that was there on the set. The dog wasn't even part of the commercial. It was just there. It just happened to be there on the set. And so I've also heard that perhaps he now brings dog treats to all of his auditions. Okay. Oh. Have to be prepared for everything. Adam has a wide variety of guest appearances on shows such as Bones, CSI Cyber, The Mindy Project. He also played Dr. Metzger in the Netflix series Sense8, directed by the Wachowskis. Thank you. This year, Adam will be seen on the upcoming seasons of Kingdom on DirecTV and Grace and Frankie on Netflix. Today, Adam will share with us the challenges he's faced, the lessons he's learned, and the unyielding tenacity that has put him on a path towards a successful acting career. Adam is a shining example of what can be done with a degree in the arts and humanities, and so without further delay, let us welcome Adam Schapiro.
So sweet of you. Hi, everybody. Wow, this is so cool. That was a great introduction. Can't believe you told the dog story. What's up? Go Terps. Make some noise. Yeah. You might recognize me as part of the 2002 National Championship team. I didn't get a lot of playing time. Hi, everybody. Hi to students and faculty and all of the fellow alumni. Honestly, I'm so blown away by how much alumni took time out of their schedules to be here. This is really an honor to be amongst all of you. Dean Thornton-Dill, it's so great to finally meet you. Thank you for being such a gracious host. And I can't tell you how excited I've been to come back to Maryland after so long and meet all of you. I had the opportunity this morning to talk to some of the theater students. A bunch of you guys are back for seconds. Access2Alumni. I was thinking about the name Access2Alumni. Do we do that? Do we do it too legit to quit kind of thing? You should. Keep it. It's my gift to you. But seriously, it's such a catchy name for this event, but it's exactly one of the enormous advantages that we as students of a huge and diverse an esteemed university like Maryland get to enjoy. Access to incredible alumni. Now, this event was not around while I was here. I had to meet my alumni the old-fashioned way, trekking through 4 feet of snow, 13 miles each way to stalk them outside the only theater center, Woolly Mammoth at the Signature. That was my access to alumni. I didn't have it as easy as you guys. I should start with a little bit about myself. As the Dean mentioned, I'm an actor and a writer and a film and theater producer. Dean, you did leave out that I was in 14 Captain Crunch commercials, and for that, I will never forgive you. I graduated Maryland with a degree in theater, and I was in the world's greatest sketch comedy group, Maryland's own SketchUp. Thank you, crazy dudes, for showing up. Where I spent hours writing sketches about farts and the act of farting and, well, farts. And things were moving right along for me, but they weren't actually always so smooth. Early on, I decided to switch my major from government to theater, but the problem was that at that time, to become a major in performance, you had to audition for the second-level acting class. That was a required course, but it wasn't a given. You had to audition and be accepted in. No class, no performance major. Now, I didn't know anything about acting, but the audition process seemed pretty simple. Do a 2-minute monologue from any play. I didn't know any plays, so I just went in with the one thing that I had memorized, the first 2 minutes of Goodfellas. At the audition, we all watched each other's monologues, and as we were told in the audition, when you felt it was your time, just jump on up there. So naturally, I went dead last. And after watching actors perform selections from plays and only plays, I knew that I might have been a bit out of my league. When it came time for me to jump up there because I felt it, I began my monologue. As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a gangster. To me, being a gangster was better than being the President of the United States. To me, it meant being a somebody in a room full of nobodies. Not a bad monologue, right? If only I could have delivered it like that. And if only it could have been from a play and preferably Shakespeare. In hindsight, there's a lot of work I could have done on that monologue. I could have used the Stanislavski method of acting and replaced wanting to be in the mob with wanting to be in the theater department. And I could have created a moment before, and I could have broken the scene down into beats, and I could have chosen tactics, but unfortunately, I hadn't learned any of that yet. Now I know what I could have done better. When I checked the class list the next day in the hallway of the old Tawes Theater, you can guess it, my name wasn't on it. The next semester came around, and it was time for another audition for that class. And this time, I was gonna find a real monologue from a real play. So I went on the internet, which was pretty new then, and I found a monologue. I probably should have read the play. I jumped up there, I did my thing, and come the next day, my name was not on that list. Oh man, I'm losing time. I have to get into this class or I'm never gonna graduate on time, let alone be a professional actor. So I called my dad on my new cellular, portable, mobile, wireless telephone. I'm dating myself, and I asked him what I should do. You see, my dad was a professor for 50 years at Temple University in Philadelphia. And if anybody knew what was going to do in this situation in higher education, he was gonna know what to do. And he gave me the same advice he'd always given me. Office hours, use them. Side note, office hours, use them. You pay a lot of money for that type of face-to-face time in the real world. Also, you might find out what's on the exam. You might find out what's on the exam. Go to the office hours. He said, go to the professor from the audition and introduce yourself and see what it is you need to do to prepare for success. Great idea. So I wait for his office hours and I give Professor Mitch A. Bear a visit. I knock on his door and his booming, deep theater voice answers, come in. Poke my head in. Hi, I'm Adam Schapiro. I auditioned for your class twice. I haven't gotten in, and if I don't get in, I can't be a theater major, and then I can't graduate with a degree in performance and become a movie star. And he said, yes, of course, I recognize you. Come on in. And I sit down, and he comes around his desk, and he sits on the edge of the desk right in front of me, and he says, Adam, acting. He's about to tell me what I need. He's about to tell me the key to being a great actor. Adam, acting is not for everybody. Yeah. He said that. Oh, wow, really? Okay, all right, well, this is a punch to the gut. I'm kind of speechless here, which was a first for me. And he continued, but we have classes in design and costume design, and there are many ways to get a theater degree here. Thanks so much for coming in to talk to me. Whew. I left his office and I hit redial. Cool feature. Dad, he told me that acting was not for everybody. Well, do you really want this? I said to him, yeah, I do. And he says, well, stop a couple students in the hallway and ask them who, like, the coolest professor is in the department. Somebody who's a champion of the student who maybe doesn't know what they're doing right off the bat. So I stop a couple students, Lee Caudill and Sarah Nelson. I will never forget that. And they go all the way down to the end of the hall, and you'll see an office on the right, and that's Scott Reese's office. Hi, Scott. So I go down there, and I poke my head into Scott's office, and I go, hi, Scott, Adam Schapiro. I explain my situation. He goes, yeah, you performed in my directing class. I remember you. And he starts to pick plays from his collection off of the shelf, and he gives them to me, and he says, read all these plays, find one, pick a character, and you and I will practice your monologue for the next semester so that when that next audition comes around, you're going to be ready. And I was, and I got in. 12 years later, Scott Reese officiated my wedding, and he is still my mentor today. And that brings me to something I want to talk about, mentorship. Collect a few. Just being here at Access2Alumni is a really great step. I collected some incredible mentors here at Maryland. As I said, Scott Reese from the theater department, Michael Olmert, Professor Olmert from the English department. Where are you, Michael? There you are. You're the best. Who taught me more in 2 semesters of his class than probably all of the rest of my classes I took at Maryland combined, who was patient enough to accommodate my schedule after I missed his study abroad group trip to London because I was working on a play, and he supported me as I went to London by myself for 2 weeks with his... Huh? Yeah, she came for the last couple days. It was a hot couple days. Thank you for that as well. It was awesome. But we would spend the nights I was in London talking on the phone, London to Maryland, about all of the lessons I had learned that day and the theater that I saw and the museums that I had visited. Or Johnny Holiday, the voice of the Terps, another one of my mentors. We got to star alongside of each other in the first production at the Clarice, or as I call it, C-SPAC. Us old school people call it C-SPAC. And I got to spend hours getting to know Johnny, and he invited me into the broadcast booth while he was broadcasting the Terps basketball and football games. That was my first brush with live television and radio, something that I do on the regular today, and we are still very close. Rabbi Bachman at the Chabad here on campus, Jared Paul, who was a senior theater major when I was an incoming freshman, who cast me in a scene in his directing class. You remember that scene that Scott said he remembered me from? That was basically my start in acting. And since I moved to, Jared now is one of the biggest guys in the music biz. You guys should meet him, he's incredible. We hosted an alumni function for the theater department in LA, and it was unbelievable, and you guys were there, and it was so cool. Beyonce literally got kicked out of the space so we could move in the University of Maryland alumni function, which was pretty cool. Bay. And even after getting to LA, I continued to seek out mentorship. And one of my greatest mentors is the great film and stage actor Bill Pullman. And a lot of people don't know this, but we're actually related. Bill married my mother's second cousin, Tamara. And when I moved out to LA, I felt a lot of pressure to ask Bill for stuff. And it was awkward and strained because he was an actor, like the kind of actor I wanted to be. He wasn't necessarily in a position to get me work or cast me in a movie. And when I was able to step back, I realized what an amazing opportunity I had just to be around such a fantastic actor and father and husband. And I realized that's what mentorship is all about. Mentors aren't there to get you stuff or land you jobs. Rather, use the mentors as examples of how to be successful. Use your mentors to inspire you, to encourage you, to bounce your ideas off of. And it doesn't matter what field they're in. See, none of the mentors I just mentioned, whether it's Mike or Scott, do exactly what I do, but they've all been instrumental in my success. And it is so much more valuable to be able to sustain a long and lasting relationship and be given a front row seat to observe how things are really done than to just be given a favor. That's a mentor. And I guess I wanted to tell you that Mitch A. Baer Theater Department story because even a seemingly negative experience can turn into an unbelievably positive one, because in hindsight, Professor A. Baer was right. Acting is not for everybody. It's for the people who want it most. It's for the people who prepare the most. It's for the people who work hard and study their craft. And I'm glad he said that to me, because he lit a fire under me and I needed it. And he prepared me for what could be 100 times worse in real life. I mean, he even gave me options for another path, costumes or stage design, and that does not happen in Hollywood. I don't remember ever pitching a show to Fox and then them passing on it and say, but ABC and NBC are out there and we'll make a call for you. Doesn't happen. You've had an array of experiences as arts and humanities students. In addition to the clearly valuable lessons that I learned in my theater classes, some of the most profound things I learned came from the courses I had the opportunity or requirement to take outside of my major. I remember pushing off my dance requirement because, I was just waiting for them to come out with a class in doing the Carlton because I figured I could pass that one. You know what I mean? It's easy. But it came time for me to choose a dance class, and I had to choose one, and it was tap dance. And I remember thinking to myself, I have no idea how this is going to help me in my career in any way. I am not going to be a tap dancer. Well, it actually did. Two things. Actually. One, you've heard of fake it till you make it, right? Well, for me, there was no place on earth more fitting for that sentiment. I mean, I had to. When the music starts and you're up there all alone, you learn more in that moment than an entire month of tap lessons. I may have performed the worst tap routine in the history of the University of Maryland, and I would do it for you guys here if I didn't, I forgot it all. I'm gonna make a change, shuffleball change, for once in my life, shim sham. Okay, cool. So just a little piece, that's for you guys. Second thing that I learned, let me find my place here. Oh, and I have been in 1,000 situations in Hollywood where I had to fake it until I make it, and I think back to that tap class, and I know that you miss every shot you don't take. The second thing that came of it, a couple years later, I found myself working my first job in LA, and I was a production assistant on a commercial shoot, and I was put in charge of handling the talent. And the talent was Savion Glover, who was like the best tap dancer on the planet. And I knew a thing or two about tap because I took the class, right? Savion and I had an amazing day that day, and we had so much fun, and he went, and I was like a temp, and he went and told all the producers of the commercial about this awesome day we had, and they hired me full-time, and that led to me getting my first line on a TV show, which led to me joining the union. So thank you, tap class. Who knew? Who knew, right? Another example, my time in film and television class, I got to take some of those classes, and I was introduced to films like Jimmy Cliff's The Harder They Come, and I got to research a paper and write a paper on The Cosby Show and how it impacted race and class perception in the 80s. That would be a much different paper now. And now, as I sit on the board of a theater company that I founded in Los Angeles, IAMA, 8 years ago, I am tasked with the challenge and the honor to lead a diversity initiative, to tell more diverse stories from more diverse voices from within our theater community. And that's a huge topic of discussion today in Hollywood, and our company hopes to be a leader on that front. And I rely on the things that I learned in that film studies class. One more, anthropology class. I was given an assignment to go out into public and to break a social norm and then recognize and record the reactions to me breaking that social norm. So I went to a clothing store down on Route 1, and I grabbed a pair of pants, and I asked if I could try them on. And when they said yes, I took my pants off right there in the middle of the store, and I tried on the pants. Now, recognizing and being able to recreate human behavior is a cornerstone of being an actor. It's what I do every day. But I never realized how much I would learn about acting from taking a class in anthropology. I would go on to be hired in a hidden camera prank show, and you can be sure that my experience breaking a social norm came in handy. And I want to leave you with this before we do a little Q&A. Work hard and be kind. Be kind. You will run into that person again. The world is small, and it's getting smaller every single day. Surround yourself with the kind of people you want to be like. And when somebody gives you access to alumni, I got to work on the hand motion. We'll work on that. When somebody gives you access, make the most of it. And if you feel like a nobody in a room full of somebodies, fake it till you make it. And once you've made it, mentor someone else. Share what you've learned. Just don't take your pants off in the middle of the store. It doesn't end well. Thank you. Team, let's take some questions. Yeah, let's take some questions. We have some time for a Q&A. Does anybody have any questions about the Hollywood stuff or the acting stuff or anything like that? Yes? Well, I know I'm not going to be in the next season. If anybody watched the first season, you might understand why I'm not in the second season. She said, am I going to be in the next season of Sense8? I'm not going to be in the next season of Sense8, but I've got a couple other things up my sleeve that you'll see me in this season. But they're shooting it right now. It's a really cool show. Yes, in the back. My favorite actor to work with. Really good question. There's been so many. I love actors. I love being around actors. It's one of the things I just absolutely love about being on a set is I get to have all this downtime with actors and ask them questions and kind of pick their brains. Right off the top of my head, I just worked on the Steve Jobs movie, which was like one of the best experiences I've ever had. And it came from, as most of my jobs do, from not getting one job, but then a door closing and another one opening. And I auditioned for that movie when a different director was attached, when it was at a different studio, and then that Sony hack happened, and then it moved to another studio, and then another director ended up. But I knew Aaron Sorkin because I had auditioned for him a bunch of times for the newsroom, and my audition kind of ended up on his desk, and he gave it to Danny Boyle, and I got a phone call from London that I was heading there. So that doesn't answer your question. So in the movie. That's so me. In the movie, there was an actor named Michael Fassbender. You guys know Michael Fassbender? He's like the greatest. And he's probably my favorite actor I've ever gotten to work with. I was like so blown away by his dedication and the amount of work that he put into it. We showed up to a table read of that movie. It's like a 160-page Aaron Sorkin script that's impossible to memorize, and he was already memorized, and it was our first day of work. Like, I've never seen that before in my life. And he was ready to go, and he like put on his Steve Jobs glasses for the third scene, and it was like, whoa. It was one of the best. And I took him out, and we were out to beers one night in San Francisco, and I asked him all about acting, and I was like, how do you do what you do? You're like a wizard. Are you a magician? Because I just went like on a fast binge, and I had watched all of his stuff. And he told me, I fast binge, #fast binge. He told me that I said, how do you know, like, for example, 12 Years a Slave, how do you know that you could be like that character with that accent and those insane scenes with Lupita? And he goes, it's not like I played that role before. I read the script, I find the best possible character in it, and I fight like hell to get it, and normally it's going to go to Gosling or DiCaprio, but if my buddy's directing it, then maybe he's going to put me in the film, and when he puts me in the film, then I'm going to work harder than anybody on that set, and I'm going to be ready. And it was just so inspiring to hear him say that. And the next day when I went on set, like I was ready. I was fast bending. Yes, back there. And then you, Alexander. Nice name tag. Oh, that's a really good question. You said that I have a lot of passion and energy, and that I'm a very handsome guy, and that I'm in a difficult field. And what do I do? What are two things that I do when doors close in my face? Honestly, one of the things that I've learned is that, and I've had so many heartbreaks where I'm like this close to a movie and I don't get it. But what I know is that 98% of the times I audition for something, I don't get it. But what I try to make sure is that 100% of the times that I go in for an audition, it results in a job in the future. I learned this lesson when it comes to being an actor. You think of yourself like a car salesman. If if somebody comes in to buy a car and because you don't have it in green, they leave, does that person cease to be a car salesman because they didn't get that sale? And a lot of times I talk to actors and they feel like when they don't get a job, that they don't have a job. But one of the things I love to keep in mind is that I'm an actor. That's what I do. That is my job. When I go in for an audition, that's not me trying to get a job. I already have the job. My job in that situation is to play the scene, play the character, think of my tactics, think of where I'm coming from, think of what I'm going to do in the scene, and then I leave because I'm not auditioning, they're auditioning. And so that's one of the things that really keeps me going, which is when a door closes, that's not a finite thing, and a lot of times, more often than not, the one that opens after that one closes is the door you want to step through. And I know, you know, my wife is on Scandal. She's on the show Scandal. She plays Quinn Perkins, and I'm really proud of her, so I just wanted to drop that. Sorry, I could just keep dropping name. Put that back in my pocket, Katie Lowe's. No, but I think theater kids are like, you did that joke today. What's up? No, I've seen it with her a million times. I mean, I remember when she auditioned for, since we've been dating, she's auditioned 7,000 times, and 10 of those times were for Shonda Rhimes. And every time she didn't get the job on Grey's Anatomy or Private Practice or, you know, Off the Map, she would come home crushed because her dream, I remember she told me on her first date, her dream was to be on a show like a Grey's Anatomy, like a Shonda Rhimes show. And she would be crushed every time. And then she goes in and she auditions for Scandal and she books it. And it's a lesson in that, you know, you might not get every job, but it's about getting the right one. And that was the right one on the right day for her, and that made all the difference, you know. We don't even think about those other 10 auditions. But she kept her head up and she went to all 10, even though she kept getting rejected. You know, she was very good, and she was the one that taught me to, you know, keep your head up and keep going, because those doors are not really closing. Just that role went to somebody else because they had different color hair or something random. Yeah.
I'm standing next to you because we need to.
It's time. I got my light. The light's flashing. Okay, cool.
Thank you, Adam. Let's give Adam a great round of applause. Don't go. Really a lot to think about, a lot to enjoy, so thank you very much.